Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Pundit thinks Trossard may replace Martinelli for Manchester City clash. Shaka Hislop has told ESPN that the time has come for Mikel Arteta to make a change to his Arsenal lineup, with Leandro Trossard stepping up and Gabriel Martinelli not playing well for the Gunners of late. Arsenal have come up against their first real blip of the season. The Premier League leaders have now failed to win any of their last three games in all competitions. There is a world where the Gunners go 9 points clear at the top on Wednesday with a game in hand. However, there is also a chance that they could be second after their clash with Manchester City. Of course, the starting lineup Arteta has used for much of the season has brought Arsenal so much success, but the January arrival of Trossard has thrown something of a spanner into the works. The Belgian was excellent when he came on against Manchester United in the recent win, and he has now opened his account for the Gunners with Saturday's goal against Brentford. It has been a tough time, meanwhile, for Martinelli. His last goal or assist came before the turn of the year, and he has come off around the hour mark in the last two games. It's a huge call to make with Manchester City up next for Arsenal, but Hislop believes that Trossard has now earned the opportunity to start ahead of Martinelli. He said, "I don't think Martinelli has been great, and Trossard, when he has come on, he has had an impact. So if you are Arteta, I think the time is right to now think, well, do I now play Trossard from the very start? Now Martinelli is quick and defensive coming up against that kind of pace. You have to adjust just for that pure speed that Martinelli brings, but he hasn't had much of an impact. He is not been playing well, so the easy change, I think, given the form of Trossard, given the fact that he is finally got on the score sheet for Arsenal, is that you have to play him from the very start." Romano says Arsenal are still yet to open talks with Reiss Nelson. Fabrizio Romano has taken to Twitter to claim that Arsenal are yet to open full contract talks with Reiss Nelson, despite the youngster's deal at the Emirates being up in the summer. Nelson's future is currently up in the air. It seems the 23-year-old is hardly a regular fixture in Mikel Arteta's side. However, he is extremely talented, and he obviously has the potential to improve considerably. Unfortunately, injuries have held the winger back this season, and it seems that there is a real possibility that he may be leaving the Premier League leaders in the summer. Romano has suggested that Arsenal have not yet opened concrete talks with the former Feyenoord loanee about a new deal. Nelson himself would be open to sticking around at the Emirates. However, he is attracting admirers elsewhere, and with that, a summer departure could be on the cards. Arsenal will perhaps hope that the speculation brings the best out of Nelson. Of course, it was another youngster seemingly in this position 12 months ago. Eden Ketia looked destined to leave after struggling for game time. The striker seemingly needed to leave for the sake of his career. However, a brilliant run of form then changed everything. Nketiah led the line in the latter stages of the season, and he proved a real point that led to a new contract being agreed, and he has had a run in the side this term, coming in after Gabriel Jesus sustained an injury at the World Cup. Nelson faces a difficult task trying to get back in, particularly after Arsenal signed Leandro Trossard in January. We have also barely seen Emile Smith-Rowe so far, but Nelson is a special talent, so if he does get an opportunity at some stage, he would definitely have the potential to make an immediate impact. Paul Merson delivers Aaron Ramsdale verdict in Arsenal draw versus Brentford. Arsenal legend Paul Merson criticized Gunners goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale for his error against Brentford on Saturday. Mikel Arteta's charges were desperate to get back to winning ways after two consecutive defeats in all competitions. Neither Arsenal nor Brentford could break the deadlock by half-time, but the Gunners eventually opened the scoring. 4 minutes after coming off the bench, Leandro Trossard tapped in at the back post from Bukayo Saka's deliver. Arsenal netted in the 66th minute, but just 8 minutes later, Brentford has cancelled out the Gunners' goal. Christian Norgard hooked the ball back across goal, and Ivan Toney was on hand to finish from close range. Both teams had to wait for VAR to come to a decision, and the visitors celebrated once again as the goal stood. Merson, speaking on Sky Sports, believes Ramsdale should have done better. He said, A cross comes in, it's a long free kick, they keep it in the box, Tony's at the far post, he hits it back in, it just keeps on going, it's like a little bit of a scramble, then all of a sudden, yeah, he is onside, keeper comes out, should get there, doesn't get there. But if you come and don't get it, that's it, he comes, don't get it. It flicks into the far post and there is Tony, empty goal, just to head it in, he couldn't miss. Ramsdale has been superb since joining Arsenal, but the odd error seems to be creeping in still. The £83,000 a week ace was calm and collected for most of the encounter against the Bees. However, he appeared to panic somewhat in the build-up to the equaliser. Obviously, no player, much less a goalkeeper, with all the pressure and responsibility, will go an entire career without making a mistake. However, Arsenal are starting to slip up a bit at such a crucial stage of the season. The Gunners were handed a huge reprieve last week as Manchester City's loss kept the North Londoners 5 points clear. Now, it's the citizens who have been handed a let off and they will fancy their chances at home against Aston Villa today. Christian Norgard praises fantastic Martin Odegaard. Brentford's Christian Norgard has labelled Arsenal captain Martin Odegaard a fantastic player after yesterday's clash at the Emirates Stadium. Mikel Arteta's men were held to a 1-1 draw after a controversial equaliser from Ivan Toney with just over 15 minutes of the game to play. Leandro Trossard has bagged his first goal for the Gunners just 8 minutes before after replacing Gabriel Martinelli. Arsenal were not at their best, but it looked like they were on the way to grinding out an important win, but Brentford's leveller seemingly should have been ruled out after VAR completely missed the fact that Norgard appeared to be in an offside position before applying the ball to Toney. Arteta was understandably frustrated after the game, but Brentford arguably deserved at least a point after a brilliant performance against the league leaders. The Bees managed to stifle the threats of Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka, and Odegaard pretty well on the day. Despite a less inspired showing from Odegaard yesterday, Norgard praised the Norwegian after the game. Speaking to Brentford's official website, Norgard shared how the Bees managed to deal with the likes of Odegaard, Saka and Martinelli. He said, "Of course, it's sticking to our defensive principles and forcing it outside and trying to double up, especially on players like Martinelli and Saka. We know how good they are when they get the ball wide, and then see if we could shoot down Odegaard as much as possible. He is a fantastic player, and he also showed today some of the skills that he has, but I think in general we played a really good game, and I know that sometimes from the outside it looks like we are under pressure the whole time, but we feel very comfortable and very solid in that low block." Odegaard has been a standout performer for the Gunners this season and played a big part of Trossard's opener. The £30 million man played Saka and down the right-hand side, who produced a brilliant ball across the box to hand Trossard his first goal for Arsenal. The Gunners have now dropped points in each of their last two Premier League matches, and they will be hoping Manchester City slip up against Aston Villa today. But Arteta's men will have the perfect opportunity to bounce back on Wednesday as they will host Pep Guardiola's men in North London. Gabi Agbonlahor, worried for Arsenal, says playing City this week will be scary for fans. TalkSport's Gabriel Agbonlahor has said Arsenal fans will be seriously worried about this week now with a clash with Manchester City coming up. The Gunners dropped points for the second week and running after losing to Everton. They succumbed to Brentford yesterday and were lucky to come out with a point in the end. That draws means City can close the gap by beating Aston Villa today. From there, City will then know a win versus Arsenal puts them top, and Agbonlahor believes that thought should be a scary one for Arsenal fans. He said, "Arsenal are having a wobble. It looked easy for Brentford to stop them, and it's a bit of a worry for them. Arteta needs Gabriel Jesus back." What the scary thing for Arsenal fans is in 4 days' time, Manchester City can be top of the league on goal difference. If they win against Villa, then beat Arsenal on Wednesday, then they go above them. Arsenal will still have a game in hand on City if they do lose top spot this week, but with the pressure cranking and Pep Guardiola coming out fighting, it will be a hard task. The Gunners simply must avoid defeat against City, or a massive swing will have happened. There is no doubt they are missing Gabriel Jesus massively. The Brazilian brings so much experience and quality to the forward line that his absence is being felt. The likes of Nketiah and Martinelli have done well while he is not been playing, but in the main, Jesus is a class above, and he helps make Arsenal tick. The Gunners have got to keep digging in. They prevented another loss by showing a fight yesterday against City. They will need all that fight and more. Journalist reveals how Thomas Frank stopped Arsenal against Brentford. Thomas Frank is one of the finest managers in the Premier League, and the Brentford gaffer has inspired his team to earn some very good results this season. They have beaten Liverpool, Manchester United and Manchester City, which shows they are not a team to underrate. The Bees just held Arsenal to a 1-1 draw, and the credit must go to their manager for how he trained and set up his players in the fixture. After the game, James Benge explained how the Dane was able to curtail Arsenal and get something from the match. He tweeted, Frank makes the point about the importance of doubling up on wingers as being key to playing against Arsenal. It's clearly something Arteta is going to have to react to. Brentford is a well-drilled side, and they showed that in the draw against Arsenal. Frank has led them to promotion to the Premier League and could also make them one of the competition's European campaigners soon. However, Arsenal is having a brilliant season and we are levels above them, which clearly means we did not play well in this fixture, as simple as that. Hopefully, we can find a way to break down clubs who believe they now know how we play and set up to frustrate us. Arsenal denied important win versus Brentford due to major VAR blunder as Lee Mason forgot to draw offside lines. Arsenal looked to have suffered from one of the worst VAR blunders of the season as video referee Lee Mason simply forgot to draw offside lines when reviewing Ivan Toney's goal at the Emirates Stadium yesterday. The Gunners weren't at their best against Brentford yesterday, but took the lead through Leandro Trossard in the second half, as they looked to be doing just enough to pick up another 3 points. Still, Toney managed to head home an equalizer for the visitors, giving them a point, though it seems pretty clear that the goal should not have stood. According to the Daily Mail, PGMOL representative Chris Foy has stated that Mason simply forgot to draw out the offside lines when checking the goal, and if he'd done his job properly, he surely would have seen that it should have been disallowed. This is quite a remarkable human error to be making at such a high level, and one can sympathize with Arsenal for being absolutely furious about this mistake. Top journalist claims that Arteta involved in recent talks with Declan Rice. Since January, when reports surfaced that Arsenal had made Declan Rice their top summer target, not a single day has passed without a new report about Rice joining Arsenal. The most recent update comes from Rudy Galletti, Italian transfer expert, who claims that Rice is so highly sought after at the Emirates that Arteta is personally leading his pursuit. He said to Give Me Sport, Declan Rice for sure remains a priority for Arsenal in the summer. There are some updates because the Gunners have the West Ham midfielder in their sights, and first contact to collect preliminary information has already happened. During January, there were new contacts in which Arteta was directly involved. No personal terms have been under discussion with the entourage of Declan Rice, but Arsenal understood that the player wants to join them. For many Arsenal fans, Galletti's update is a breath of fresh air. What better way to rebound in the transfer window after missing out on Moses Caicedo than to sign Rice? Rice is not cheap, but he is one player Arsenal will not be afraid to break the bank for. Jamie Braidwood of The Independent writes about Arsenal breaking the bank for Rice. Arsenal, however, have been clear that they believe Rice is worth it. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.